Secular Perspective.
Brought to you by the Secular Party of America. With your host, Atheist Angel.
This is Secular Perspective. I'm your host, Atheist Angel, and on the show today, man, actually our first call-in guest, which is quite a treat for us here because obviously it's been my dumbass on here for the first two episodes with nobody else, so I've been trying to entertain all you fine guests out there. But today on the show, we've got activist, comedian, and the one which is probably most controversial is the Satanist, correct, Mr. Steve Hill?
Correct. How you doing, my man?
Pretty good, man. So good to have you on the show, man, and great to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Yeah. It's been. I think the last time I actually saw you in person was at NapCon in San Francisco when I was telling some jokes in the middle of the day. I'm a comedian, man. Comedians don't tell jokes in the middle of the goddamn day.
I know. What's up with that, man? But you know, it was our first convention, and it was great to have you there. And it happened to be kind of in your neck of the woods up in San Francisco there, right? So, I mean, you didn't have very far to travel, so.
No, I didn't have far to travel, and plus my wife was born in San Francisco, and that's where all the relatives are located. So it was kind of like a vacation / conference attendance, which I was honored to do it, man. That was actually my second conference that I ever performed at. Was at NapCon with Troy and the whole group. You guys, it was good hanging out though. I got to meet Dusty, who's still a friend of mine. Yeah, well, I was with my wife and family and all of that. So.
Right. You have many handles out there, of course, and of course, there's, atheist, activist, a comedian, and of course, the most controversial out there, I would think, besides atheist, would be Satanist, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's something that a lot of people are actually shocked about, and of course, that is quite the topic when it comes to somebody who is either running for or hoping to have any sort of public office. So we definitely want to hear as much about you as possible, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Hill.
Yeah, well, I was born on the north side of St. Louis, man. I don't know, north side of St. Louis. I don't know if many people ever been there. But you know how they talk about Compton being so bad? Compton ain't shit. Compton ain't shit. Right? North side of St. Louis make Compton, California look like a vacation destination. Yeah, oh no, it's it's a place that African Americans who came up from the South were forced to congregate in a small area of the city where we were allowed to purchase property at. Which basically that's how they create these ghettos in America,
right? And
it's hard living because there's not enough to support the economic tax base. No one has any money, and it's basically dependent on the government and whatever low-paying jobs that you can get. So it's an everyday struggle, in the inner city in America. But I fled that situation by joining the United States Marine Corps. Went to be a private Marine. I come from a family of military men. My father was in, actually I have men in my family that dates all the way back to the Civil War. History of military service. My father was, he was in World War II, had another brother in Vietnam, had another brother that's a retired Marine, and me, myself, I served about 5 years in the Marine Corps.
Thank you for your service. My father was military as well. He retired as a Master Chief, so he was Navy, and So I know that military lifestyle. But how long did you live in St. Louis?
Oh, I left when I was 17, man.
17?
It was like 17 years old, man. It was like coming from where I came from. Joining the Marine Corps was like going on vacation.
Well, hell yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
Even though Marine Corps boot camp was no joke, because I had a whole lot of Vietnam veterans were as drill instructors, and those guys were just as mean as you could imagine.
Oh, I bet.
But coming from where I came from, it wasn't that tough of a transition, man. In my senior high school, there was a first school shooting that I ever even knew about was one of my friends shot up somebody else down in the cafeteria in the lunchroom. That was like the first school shooting I ever heard of. So yeah, it was time for me to get out of St. Louis. I didn't see a future there. So I'm kind of glad I had the United States Marine Corps as an option, you know.
Right.
So anyways, I finished my duty in the Marine Corps. I was stationed in California, Barstow, and I went to LA the next day after I disparted my military service, and I got a job working in the aerospace industry, working in an aerospace factory making parts for the stealth bombers and the B-2 bombers and all of those products of war. And I got kind of bored doing that. I decided I would go and spend 10 years in prison as an officer. As an officer, not as an inmate. Well,
I'm glad you made that distinction there, you know, because that's I was like, wow. You know?
yeah. I don't want nobody to get the wrong idea. But yeah, I retired from the California Department of Corrections. I went to work after that. You know, I wanted to do something more pleasurable. I wanted something more peaceful, so I went and got a job as campus security in 2 different middle schools, and that was almost like working in the prison system. Because those kids are out of control. So yeah, I got tired of doing that, and I went and opened up a Anniversary real estate appraisal. That's my business I currently have. Been in business for about 15 years. I appraise real estate. I went through the mortgage meltdown. Saw a lot of people lose their houses. Saw a lot of families, you know, break up. Because in my area, you know, when you lose a house, people also decide it's a good time to separate.
Right.
Because, you know, pretty much you're at the bottom when you lose your home. So, you know, I saw a whole lot of that ugliness. But then when I saw that no one actually went to jail, and I worked at a prison. I worked at a prison where there was a disproportionate amount of black men in prison. You know, I could just feel and tell that there's too many African Americans there, because that was the predominant ethnic group in any state prison in California. So that kind of, you know, I'd always been really political. So with seeing that and ascertaining all of the non-experience of my chosen careers and fields in my lifetime, I just had to kind of turn into not only a political junkie, but an activist trying to get into the political system and see if we could change it to make it better for people at the bottom.
Man, and much appreciated. But by all means, I want to know also, like, how did you get, actually, what made you decide to run for the Senate? And how long have you been, like, a Satanist? Tell us a little bit about that and how you got into that, and how it, how you feel that it relates to politics and secularism and the whole nine there. Explain how you kind of encompass all those together.
Okay, well, in 2015, I was asked to attend a conference and perform as stand-up comedy at the I think it was a Gateway to Reason conference in St. Louis, my hometown, by the way, and that's where I met Lucian Greaves. Lucian Greaves. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it. I know I go by his real name, but that's not his real name. Right. But anyway, I met him there, and another friend suggested, "Hey, Steve, you should join TST, the Satanic Temple." You know, and I had heard about him and read about him, and you know, talked to people about him, but you know, as a black man, where you already got so many strikes against you, the last thing you want to do is take on the mantle of Satan,
right?
Or be associated with the devil. Yeah. So I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know, that's kind of too much.
Right.
But then I looked at a little bit deeper in the group, and I talked to Lucian, and we hung out for a little while, and I was like, you know, I kind of had an appreciation for the brilliance of someone who is diametrically opposed, like me, to religion, to take on take on the
well,
person
everybody.
you worship as Satan.
Right. The greatest antagonist in history.
That kind of, after I, adversarial, and I know I'm an adversary towards anything that's religious or organized religion.
Uh-huh.
So I started thinking, man, this is either really stupid or this is the most brilliant idea to use as a conduit or a tool to fight against people with religion,
Uh-huh.
and then there's a political aspect because they go into the court system and into people who write certain legislation. And they do it from basically a political perspective. They use the system to fight within the system.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, what, for a political junkie like me, it's like, what could be better than that?
Right.
So, that's what kind of made me, fight from the same perspective as, if I'm a Satanist and you want me to believe your stupid shit, then you believe my stupid shit. And
Right.
I use it as totally satirical. It's nothing serious. I was talking to Lucian yesterday, and I was, Satanic Temple has 7 tenets. I only got 1 tenet. That 1 tenet is don't be an asshole.
Right. Don't be an asshole. Yeah. Exactly.
I like the avenue of approach or the tactical methods of the Satanic Temple
Uh-huh.
because they're saying if you want us to respect your religion, Satanists are basically religious, are religious individuals also,
Right.
which like to express our religious liberties, and we would like for our religion to be respected, just like everyone else wants their religion to be respected
All right.
and pushed out there in front and pushed on other people, like the Christians and evangelicals do it. But TST and the Satanic Temple, they don't push, they don't push the religion. It's kind of like a sublime, if you want to join us, you can, but
Right.
but they don't go out, actively recruiting people
Yeah, they're
to
not
join the
knocking.
Satanic Temple or to be Satanists.
Yeah, they're not knocking on doors. Like the Church or Latter
Yeah, they're
Day
not at
Saints.
your door every damn Saturday morning telling you how great the Jehovah's Witness organization is,
Uh-huh.
shit like that.
So you can basically say that it's a church of making a point, is what it is in a sense. I mean, because it's not like you actually
Yeah.
believe that like Satan exists and you worship Satan. You're just kind of
Right.
making a point to everyone
You're
out
kind of
there.
using you're basically turning their hypocrisy upon themselves because they think that their God is the only true God, and whoever worships anyone else is an absolute fucking idiot, basically.
Right.
So I say, why not use one of their mythical beings to use against them? Yeah, I find brilliance in that. That's wonderful.
Now you said, how many votes did you say you got?
I got about 9,000 votes this time. There was more people in the race this time. I think we had 4 candidates on the Democratic side. Last time we only had 2, and I got about 13,000 votes.
Wow, that's not
So
bad.
this time I actually got fewer votes because, yeah. It's a lot of people were attracted to my campaign because 1, I was a big Bernie supporter, and for 2, I told everyone the truth and how things actually are, and not how the media or politicians tried to portray or project the image that things are great. And I try to talk about, like, we have a big homeless population here in North Los Angeles County,
Oh yeah.
area called the LO Valley, and I try to point out their needs. We have a state prison that I used to work at in our community, and I try to talk about over incarceration, and I try to talk about injustice and policing, and what a black man goes through in America.
Uh-huh.
Just trying to be a good citizen, man. And we have to perform far above and beyond the average citizen.
Right. Now, let's just say that I'm your average, and I hate to say average, but you know what I'm saying. Let's just say I'm your typical Christian, or what you're trying to get my vote. You're trying to get me to understand where it is you're coming from and your point and your platform. What would you say to me as a Christian to try to get my vote?
Boy, there's a good one. No, the first thing I would say is always remember, in politics, there's a separation of church and state. So don't bring your religion into the ballot box with you. There's a separation of church and state. And then I try to convey to people that we're pretty much all in this together, and the people at the bottom don't have a voice.
Right.
So, if they're the caring Christians that they project themselves to be when they're out in public, then they should understand that, someone speaking for the people who don't have a voice, people, the same kind of thing that Martin Luther King did, except he didn't do it as a Satanist.
Uh-huh.
Then you should, who would Jesus not feed? Who would Jesus not provide shelter for?
Uh-huh.
These are godly things are my concerns. If you want to take it to that level of that perspective, I run for office to try to, shine light on the needs of humans,
uh-huh.
human beings, human suffering. Basically, I call myself a satanic humanist. Is the kind of the label. If anyone wants to give me a label, I kind of go by a satanic humanist because the things I advocate for are basically human things, man. Everybody needs food to eat. Everyone needs shelter, a place to sleep.
Right.
In relative safety. This seems like it would come natural for people to fight for other human beings, to be treated with dignity and respect, and things like that. Provided education, provided housing.
I agree with all of those things. It's just that now one of the things that we were trying to convey as the when the National Atheist Party started was the need for everyone in this country to have a voice. We were basically trying to make a point as well. And when the party wanted to switch over to the Secular Party of America, it was mainly designed because as a secularist, you have more of a voice. You reach more people than you do with the label as atheist. Now, it's even still written in the bylaws or in the state constitutions or whatever that atheism is actually disqualifies you from public office. So even holding just the label of atheist, not believing in a God, makes it difficult for you at best to hold office or to garner any sort of votes, let alone taking on the label that you have as Satanist. So I'm just curious, you've taken on an extraordinary weight on your shoulders to even be trying to make a point like that, is because just that label alone turns so many people off in itself, even though I, as an anti-theist, as an atheist, understand where you're coming from. I'm just trying to
mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to make a point that
Yeah,
that it makes it very difficult for people to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, of course it has a negative connotation to it. Anytime you take on the label of being a Satanist, or affiliating yourself with the devil or Lucifer, because everyone, most the majority of the people in America they already have the mental conditioning to just attribute all of the negative thoughts to Satan or the devil. So of course, but on the other hand, if you say you're a Satanist and you really know that you have no chance in hell, literally, to win,
Right.
and you're basically just doing it to break ground for that person who comes along who actually is an atheist,
Right.
and don't go by Satanist or nothing outlandish like that. You're actually breaking ground for that person who hopefully is rational, considerate, thoughtful, compassionate human being that believes in science, logic, and reason, peace, love, and understanding. Hopefully I'm breaking ground for other atheists that come behind me that they will be able to say, hey, I'm an atheist, and still, be able to maintain an era of dignity and respect, and achieve a level of respect to where you're just not going to be automatically dismissed. A lot of people are just dismissive whenever the A word comes up, And you're right, that the National Atheist Party, NAPCON, that conference, that having atheists in the name, of course it turns people off.
Right.
But then again, it also kind of lets people know where the fuck you stand. And sometimes you got to do that too.
I agree. I agree with you like 110%. And that we made our point when we started out, but that if we wanted to be a serious political party, that we needed to expand and be more inclusive, and that secular, changing the name to Secular Party of America, was more inclusive of the body of Americans that we were hoping to reach out to, than just making the point of making a point of the atheists deserved a voice, or that didn't deserve the label that we had.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I understand the rationale in that. You're going to get, like they say, you can have, what is it? You can get more flies with sugar than shit.
Right, with honey than you can with vinegar.
I understand.
Right.
You get those I call them cowardly atheists on the end who call themselves anything but atheists.
Right.
You would get all of the humanist, secular, spaghetti monster. you get all of those people who don't want to associate with being called an atheist.
Right.
You would have those people more prone to join your organization. That has messed me up for a lot of years too, man.
No, please elaborate.
I kind of get irritated with the people who are afraid to use the A word. I call it the A word,
right.
Atheist.
No, I agree.
I'm running around calling myself a free-thinking, secular, agnostic, Pastafarian, non-believing Satanist. That's what I am.
Right.
Anything but atheist. Don't call me no atheist. I'm already black. I don't need no extra baggage.
Well, what I was eventually going to get to with this, and I can tie this in later, is, do you feel then that, because in episode 2, what I was just talking about in the episode before this, before I had before I actually had a guest on here, was that as being that we have sat back in the shadows for so long and not spoken out as atheists, come out as atheists, that we've allowed this willful ignorance to pervade and to be promoted willfully out there. Just we've sat back in the shadows for so long and allowed it to, here's this virus that comes out now, and I think that this has really put God and science and people, you're being in touch with reality and out of touch with reality, and the people that were out of touch with reality are the people that are being actually hit with this, the most and stuff, that have spread this. The people are like, I don't give a fuck if I get it, and then they get it, but that, of course, then this is afflicted on the poorest and the least educated of our society, our species. It's just, and do you feel that the willful ignorance,
the people at the bottom of the social economic ladder, and this, the willful ignorance of people not to understand, especially my people, man. I don't bite my tongue when I talk about this particular subject of the willful ignorant. And I think my people, African Americans, I think that it's much, and I hate to say this, it's much more conforming and easier for them to just go ahead and accept the same religion of the same people who used to own them than to actually deal with the real situation that we're in.
But God
and
damn.
that real situation is that we have no economic base.
Right.
We've never had shit.
But that fucking pisses me off so much, Steve. I mean, I just want to say that makes me so angry. And I don't want to say, God, man, we're all one fucking race, We're all one fucking species and shit. I don't see fucking color. I don't see, I'm in this for the fucking long haul. I care about people, in general, and life in general, and this planet and shit like that. But fuck, man, that shit pisses me off to no end. When you have African Americans in this country that are obviously they've got a history that is out there for everyone to see what they've been through, like their ancestors, and yet they accept the very thing that caused this thing that they're trying to stand up for. It just, to me, it's like it's circular fucking reasoning, and just it blows my mind. Yeah. That they're supporting the very thing that it was that enslaved them in the first place. The very justification that they used to enslave them in the first place.
Right. I understand all of that, man. What gives me the ability to express myself without totally flying off the handle is understanding the factor of hope in the life of a human being. Because, no matter what, if you think about each and every one of us, we all have hope. We have hope for a decent life and an expectancy of live in peace and to be with our loved ones. And, everyone, it's essential that every human being needs hope. And when they gave us religion during slavery, that gave us hope.
Right.
But at some point in our history, it has to start being data driven, and I take this back to the 1960s when computers first popped up on the scene. We have to start looking at the data. We have to start looking at the fact that African American men usually make up about 47% of any state prison population. Or federal. We have to look at the number of suspension and expulsions in African American communities as it relates to our education in public and primary school.
Right.
We have to look at our college graduation rates. We have to look at our per capita income. We have to look at all of these things and see that all of this data, all of this information is very factual, and there's a reason for it. And that reason is, from my perception, that reason is the mere fact that we wanted to be free. There's animosity towards us because we want to be free. So we're free, and after we're free, we're like, okay, you're free, but we ain't giving you shit.
Right.
And they've been fighting against us ever since 1865, the abolishment of slavery. We've been fought against. Our political system, all of the systemic racism, all of the redlining, which was supposed to end in 1968, but it really didn't.
Right.
We're trapped into all these ghettos. We have every reason in the world not to accept the beliefs of our oppressors. But what do? 90% of us believe in some kind of a god or a deity.
Right.
Instead of believing in, I would much rather believe in our political system. I would much rather believe in voting, to find power.
Right.
Fake-ass deity or fake-ass God that won't come back, won't help us. Our condition's not changing. It's not getting any better. And for the foreseeable future, I don't see our condition in America changing.
Well, then again, I truly believe that with this virus, this pandemic that has, this is something that the world has never seen before, and has woken up a lot of people in a lot of ways. It's put that shit stain of a fucking quote unquote president, on call. It's put the beliefs, faith in God, and like, yeah, he can put his fucking image on toast. He can help you find your fucking car keys, but he can't goddamn fucking stop a pandemic that's wiping out his most faithful fucking believers, right? This is when like the chips
Right.
are on the table, and like, it's okay. Where do we draw the line now? It's like, okay, we've pampered, we've patted fucking religion and this willful ignorance on the ass long enough. It's time to like say, okay, we gotta fucking be goddamn critical thinkers now, man, because this is affecting our species. This is affecting us like at our core and shit like that, So it's fine if you want to.
See, religion at its core, though, doesn't give you that ability to think freely.
Exactly. Or critically.
So instead of thinking how, no matter how deep our problems get, no one ever comes back to help. Instead of thinking like that, the sickness, the mental abuse of religion only affords you the ability to increase your faith in your belief, which is absolute fucking insanity to me.
Wow.
So, it goes with religion. That's why it's, to me, I view religion as a superstition and as a cultish type shit.
Well, what I'm saying, when you've got these congregations of religious people that are saying, fuck science, fuck all the statistics, fuck this virus, fuck reality, we're going to meet anyways. We're going to like get together anyways, and the blood of Jesus, and I've seen the videos of people saying like the blood of Jesus washed over is going to save me, and then here they are, massive outbreaks of the virus with these people that have gone to these things. And if that is not testament, because when you've got Bible passages that specifically state when two or more of you are together, then my will is done, and then you've got masses of people that are together in his quote unquote name, and yet they still not only contract the virus but are dying from it, that should fucking wake you the fuck up. And if it doesn't, there is a problem, a serious, deeply underlying problem with this like entire nation that needs to be addressed, because you cannot fix a problem until you admit what the problem is. And the problem is willful ignorance in this nation, relying on some invisible, imaginary fucking guy in the sky to come and fucking save us, or that's dealing with shit, instead of just accepting reality for what it is. And until we do that as a nation and admit that this whole fucking religious bullshit has been patted on the ass for far too long, then we're going to continue to have thousands and thousands of people suffer needlessly, like we're having happen right now with this virus.
Yeah, I understand it, and this is the problem, and this is where everyone should be advocating for a separation of church and state, because as you can see with Trump, he's giving the religious people. I mean, Jeffries, Easter Sunday, he was touting and letting everybody know that he was going to be tuning in to speak to Jeffries, and this guy is like the worst of the worst of religion. He's even a bigot against other religions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
With people, if you're not right-wing evangelical Christian and whatever, and he fucking talks about Mitt Romney being in a fucking cult, and I'm like, all of you motherfuckers are in cults.
Right.
But this is the sickness of religion, and this is why we definitely need to keep religion out of politics.
Right.
And Trump is not the guy that's doing it, because Trump is a user. He's a manipulator.
Right.
And he's got all of these gullible Christians thinking, "Oh, I'm the rich American white businessman look at the last two Republican nominees for president. Mitt Romney, rich religious businessman,
Magic
and
underwear.
Donald Trump, rich businessman. I think Trump was actually an atheist.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. A dumb atheist, but an atheist nonetheless.
Yeah, he don't believe in this shit. When he did that interview, and someone asked him, what does he pray about, and he said, "Oh, I don't pray to nobody." He was being honest.
Yep.
And then he got with his people, who started, and that's when he went on this rampage about how great the Bible is, and he uses religion just like most politicians to gather sheep.
Oh man,
sheep vote.
Look, I don't know.
That's what happened.
I don't know if you ever saw, but I saw a video back when Trump was involved with the WWE and all that fucking wrestling bullshit. He was on there, and a lot of people don't fucking realize that, or maybe a lot of the fucking redneck down south fucking people do. But there was a segment on there in particular where he was sitting in his office, and it was like darkly lit, and he had this fucking like mood lighting just set on him and shit like that, and he's broadcasting to the entire fucking audience and shit, in the wrestling fucking, in the ring and over the big fucking speakers and shit, and he's saying, the American people, I know how to fucking manipulate them, and fucking this is the way to fuck. I mean, he was basically saying he knows how to fucking work the goddamn American people, and like you can't find that video anymore. Like I have searched around for that video, you can't find it.
Well,
shit. But
I know what you're talking about. He also said Republicans are fucking stupid and gullible and to believe anything. And if he was ever going to run for office, he would be a Republican.
Yep.
They're fucking stupid and they'll believe anything you tell them if you tell it to them often enough.
Well, shit, man.
So yeah, I'm familiar with all of that, and it's true. But you got to give Trump some credit because he's perceptive enough to understand human nature, human behavior, and how people are easily manipulated, especially when they are low information type voters.
Well, it's freaking.
They can be easily manipulated, and he did it.
He's using Hitler was the same way. He's like, he couldn't fucking believe Hitler's big lie. It's like, the bigger the lie you tell, the more fucking people will eat that shit up with a goddamn spoon, dude. It's like,
Exactly.
Trump is a moron. He fucking doesn't want to read shit, and stuff. But that guy, as far as like, he's a great showman. He's a great showman. Yeah.
Sucker board every minute. All you got to do is tell these people what they want to hear.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in America, what they want to hear is shit like build a wall, lock them up, all kinds of stupid shit like that.
They love the 3-word kind of fucking, rah, 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 rah.
That caters to their intelligence level. Lock her up, drain the swamp, build that wall. Yeah. You know what they don't like to hear, though?
Huh.
We are racist. Because they fucking are.
We are stupid.
They are.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and it's kind of scary if you're African American and you've lived this long in America. I'm 58 years old, man. I ain't no spring chicken or no shit like that. Even though I look young and handsome, I'm actually up there in age. It's like, come on, I get into it with these millennials now. The millennials, these motherfuckers on this. Okay, boomer. I'm like, fuck y'all. You can refer to me as a State Farm agent. Those motherfuckers know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. So when they start talking that millennial shit, like, no, you guys, wait your turn. You haven't seen enough shit yet. I've seen them take teenagers out of my neighborhood so they can go supply the forces in Vietnam. And I heard all of the hippies in the late '60s and the Kent State, the uprisings, that '68 Democratic Convention. I've seen all of that, people who live long enough know that, this system we have is a work in progress. This democracy we have is an experiment, and it's up to us to make it work out in the end. The power of the people. The people will determine, where we go.
Right.
That's why, once again, we need to get money out of politics.
Oh, hell yeah. And the Electoral College.
Yeah, the Electoral College is an antiquated fucking system from, back near slavery days, back in slavery. Yeah. That shit needs to go too.
I agree, man. I agree. We're at almost an hour right now. Go ahead and throw out some things. Where are you? Obviously, with the coronavirus stuff.
I'm at home like everybody else. Yeah, I'm at home and everywhere else.
But of course,
I'm appearing nightly at home. Yeah, I plan on getting back in front of an audience, man. I miss performing. So right now, I'm working on a comedy special. It's going to be off the fucking chain. Whenever we get off the fucking chain from this pandemic, I'm going to do a comedy special. I'll put it on one of the media platforms, Hulu or something like that. But that's coming up for me, and I got plenty of time to practice right now.
Right.
But my business has been deemed essential because I appraise real estate, and I'm sure they don't want the real estate market to melt down again, right, along with the pandemic. Just sounds like two things that probably shouldn't go together. So I've been deemed an essential worker. So my business is still going, man, for the moment. People are still refinancing houses and trying to get money the best way they can, because unfortunately a lot of people are going to lose their jobs and livelihood during this pandemic.
Well, too bad you're not a divorce lawyer, huh?
Whew. Yeah. Or a cop answering domestic calls, because I know the domestic violence has increased when you got to stay in the house with the person you married 24/7. Yeah, there could be some conflicts flare up there. So
there have been one or two.
Shout out to everybody who still love their spouse like I do.
Right on, man. Well, shit, man. I truly appreciate you being on here. We're gonna get our shit together, as far as the show goes, to where the sound's much cleaner.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back.
I definitely want to have you on the show again.
I'll come back before I do my comedy special.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna get this worked out here real soon and stuff. So, man, thank you so much, Steve, for being on here. Your website, don't you have a stevehillcomic.com or something like that? What tell the folks what you got.
Yeah, I still got my Steve Hill for State Senate Facebook page. I'm gonna keep that going right up until Trump gets booted out of office. And I got Steve Hill Comic on Instagram, Steve Hill on Facebook, and 6664Satan is my Twitter handle. At 6664Satan. You can hit me with a tweet, and just looking forward to getting this comedy special out, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate being on your show.
Oh, man, thanks so much, man. Maybe I can host for you one of these days. Shit. Right on. All right, thanks so much, brother.
Of course. Certainly.
All right, man. We'll be in touch.
Man. Good talking to you,
All right. You take care, man. All right.
Take it easy there, Angel.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, we're out. Right on. That was Steve Hill, activist, atheist, Satanist, comedian. So grateful to have him on the show. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and not sure who we're gonna have on the show next week, but it's gonna be somebody here, man. And we're always gonna have new content and new things happening. So by all means, stay tuned here to Secular Perspective. I'm Atheist Angel, and this is produced by the Secular Party of America. Take care of yourself and each other. We love you all, man.